Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dynamic Disruptors. So excited to be here again with you, Caroline. How are you today?
I'm good, and you? How are you on the other side of the Atlantic? It's just the technology brings us all of
Very,
it.
yeah, I know, me too, me too. I'm doing great today, and I think that today's topic, we're just having a chat beforehand as we are apt to do, and I think this is a really appropriate topic for, I think, what a lot of people struggle with, even just for me personally, what I'm going through. Notice every time I'm about to up level, every time I'm about to expand, this is the focus. So today is our topic is really boundaries and the power of intentional space, boundaries that nourish, boundaries that accelerate your timeline. And we're going to get into a bit of like a nuanced conversation around this. So yeah, I'm really excited about that today. So if I may begin just my own like personal little anecdote here. Whenever I'm about to up level, I notice that this comes to the forefront, that boundaries, that creating a space is highly important for expansion. And I always love talking about the paradox of, because sometimes we think about boundaries as something that encloses us, like we're putting up some kind of barrier, energetic wall, right? But actually, this is creating expansive, intentional space. So I look at boundaries as, curating your experience, to really like draw a line of what you are available for in your business, what you're available for in your life, what kind of energy you're bringing in, and yeah, all of this affects what you're creating in your business and in your life. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, Caroline, because this was very present for me, especially this week for some reason.
Yeah, for me as well. To be honest with you, it was a busy week. So boundaries came as a very nice topic that I think everyone can relate, and to give a short introduction to it, I think to me, boundaries is more creating intentional space in our life, and it's defining what you will and will not tolerate in your personal or professional life. When the fans fall down and everything gets leaky, and we allow distraction or energy to be put in the wrong place, uh, the energy drains, and then you become really what I call the leaky boundaries. So it can be for entrepreneurs, or for our personal life. It could be a phone at a dinner table, it could be checking emails during family time, or simply not fully being present in the space when you're in people, and it diminishes your capacity to be effective. There's another aspect of it, I think. It's just to say, and most of us do that, is just to say yes when you want to say no, and then you end up stretching up yourself too thin, and it drains your energy. So this is the time for me, and I think for most people, where boundaries are very important.
Absolutely, 1,000%. And thank you. We have some comments here. So we'd love to hear also your questions around energetics, around boundaries. Have you found yourself in this kind of experience where some of the symptoms would be, yeah, feeling like your energy is being drained, feeling like people are extracting or taking too much from you? That's a whole thing, because this has nothing to do with the other people. Has to do all with how you are creating the space for yourself, and intentionally, I always say, just you're literally crafting your reality, you're coding it, and boundaries are an absolute part of that. So Caroline, I love what you were presenting there, because leaky boundaries equals leaky energy, equals a form of exhaustion. This can also turn into a kind of resentment. So if you are in your business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're taking clients, this could also mean you're overgiving. This could also mean that it might feel good at the time. And I've done this so many times myself, because if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a visionary, right, the fire in your guts is really about serving, is about creating something even bigger than yourself. And very often we come to a place where we're faced with overgiving or really wanting to do something incredibly powerful, but that requires us actually to have stronger boundaries, to be really, really precise in where we are putting our energy. And if you're, overgiving to clients, if you're going overtime for them, if you're doing all of this extra and then you're depleted, there's definitely something to look at there. And if we don't look at boundaries, what happens is you'll notice that, number one, your energy is going to be on the lower side. You're not going to be excited if you're sitting in the energy of resentment, right? And also the projects are going to be slower. People are going to also tend to overstep those boundaries more and more. And I think a lot of people have resistance to setting this like next level boundaries, because if you're an entrepreneur, you know that your time is of the essence. It's extremely precious. But there's this next layer that I think people fear to go, because someone's going to judge them for being unkind, being self-serving, where actually your boundaries are going to really accelerate the visionary projects that you're here to do in the world and actually make more impact. So it's holding these two, right? That is extremely powerful and something to absolutely look at in all aspects of life and in your business. So lots of things. This is kind of as always, we tackle really big topics in a short amount of time, but I think
Yeah,
this is so
you
important.
pick really, really interesting topics, and I think even if it sounds like a generic topic, we can quickly relate it to our life. You were talking about putting your energy somewhere, and I will extend it to say maintaining your personal energy field. There's two ways you can intentionally put your energy into something, but maintaining your personal energy field is extremely important, because you feel drained or scattered if you don't do that. So you consciously decide to nourish your internal pace within the boundaries you've created. So I believe those two aspects are important: inner self and outer self. So you create a bubble to accelerate the process of setting better boundaries. That's what is important. You can create boundaries, but what kind of boundaries do you create? And it helps you to create this, I would just say, this bubble, but also these retreats. So I'm stepping into something that I know, which are the villa retreats, but I know it's an ultimate form of creating those bubbles when you step out of your comfort zone, and you create this intentional space. You're able to operate more efficiently. You're more focused. You achieve more in less time, because you give space to yourself to build a realm for your energy to be nourished and to flourish as well. So the two are very, very important, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I love you're speaking my language, and yes, building your realm, right? Because if we take it to that next level, and because Carol and I are always working, creating these beautiful experiences for our clients, the idea of the retreat, and this is what I was thinking about in terms of the boundaries, is you are claiming your space. You are raising your hands to go to that next level of nourishment, of extracting yourself from the distractions, extracting yourself from perhaps people or situations that you are very commonly leaking your energy, right? Very just it happens, right? We get into these patterns. So when you're removing yourself from that kind of pattern, you're able to take a bird's eye view of that while you're on retreat. Of course, that's the whole point. But there's also the aspect of it is a boundary unto itself that you've pulled away, that you're, yes, you might be sitting in a physical structure or in another country and creating this bubble for yourself in order to it's almost like you're saying, I'm removing myself from this in order to amplify, in order to accelerate that kind of nourishment. And what happens when you don't have leaky energy, when you remove yourself from the places that in general challenge that, and you might find yourself falling and slipping into old patterns, you're able now to see with a different light. I mean, we were just talking about somebody who came back from a retreat, and just the, of course they're refreshed, but the refreshments of like the mental capacity and the energetic capacity is so different than as if you were to just, okay, I'm just going to go take a walk. Like, this is the next level of really raising your hand that you're ready to amplify and accelerate at extremely high level. So I love the idea of even just going into a villa itself as like a boundary that you've curated your experience for, right? It is an actual physical structure, but energetically there's a parallel that is matching it at the same time. And I love that. The 3D and the ethereal all at once, but bringing them together is really where you're going to see the most profound results. And that's an intentional space, as a boundary is, to create that for yourself.
Yeah, I do agree. It's pretty well said. I do believe in this intentional escape that allows you to step outside of your daily routine. And then we always fighting against our everyday life, and it's something is very frantic. And there's a difference between being constantly reactive to things. So you extinguish conflict, or you're answering to emails, or you say no to opportunities, and being proactive, and you strategically choosing to reframe, rebuild, re-energize your energetic framework. So now it supports your journey, whether it's a personal journey or an entrepreneurial journey. And we talked about that. And this space you create leads to time collapse. Suddenly you realize that all the noise around you, when you push this noise out and you refocus on yourself, well, you have more space to shrink times, to achieve more, to get more focus. And the boundaries are not just only pushing people out, there's also creating space. And to create your to help your best self to emerge, to thrive in a way.
Beautifully said. Yes, I could not agree more. This also creative capacity of anytime I go to another location with the intention, right, of setting this different kind of boundary, it is almost like a portal. I always find, and this is where I like to help my clients move into that kind of hyperflow, where you are open now to these unicorn ideas. You're open now to, there's space for you for that to fall in, because you're not constantly trying to put out these fires. You're not trying to, you're not in the situations that are normally, I love how you said reacting, because that is it. So many of us are living in a reactive space. So this allows your own intuitive genius and creativity to unfold, to land with those new ideas. And that's what ends up happening. People are like, oh my goodness, I all of a sudden the solution has been presented to me. Whereas before they could be trying with the strategy and trying with the thinking over and over again and rehashing the things and investing in all these places to learn strategic implementation, where actually we open this entirely different frontier of creation when we step into a space like that. So I love how, I love how you articulated that. Really, really beautiful.
Yeah, I do agree to your bird's eye view. And I think it's very important to extract yourself, to unplug, and what I called before the reset button, we talked about intuition and all these things that come from your inner self, but it's very important. Most of entrepreneurs forget that they are drowning into tasks and things to do, when you have to extract yourself to this, mud or pool of mud of things to do on a daily basis, to suddenly find a location that is designed to support your boundary setting process, to help you to disconnect, to help you to enter your sacred space, I would say, a kind of container, boxes of positive energy. It's really precious. We forgot that in our society, that the positivity links to more energy, more space, more focus, and then protecting this space, and especially in those retreats, give you the immense opportunity for 7 days. It's kind of a long time, but it's a process that you will keep with yourself beyond those 7 days. It will be a blueprint for yourself that you would apply in your everyday life when you go back to the noise, and it will give yourself a chance to rewire those old habits and things that have been draining you for so long. So yeah, it's a great way to say, okay, we can do a walk, we can do meditation, we can stop for a minute or an hour. But what about stopping for longer? So the inner self, the inner energy is activated. And all these things you're teaching, like the time collapse, the activations, the clarity that you get into your business, your goals, your vision, your everything that makes yourself, and you try to spill onto your business and the people who work for you, suddenly is clear. And it's extremely important to calibrate on that.
I love that. I love that. So well said. And I see some comments here which are brilliant. Before I lose the thread, you talking about like, what is the difference between let's go on a retreat and then escape from our life and then insert ourselves back in just the same way, but we went into the retreat, right? A lot of people will do that. They'll go to the retreat, they'll be like, oh, I'm so refreshed, and then immediately go back into the patterning of reactivity. And so what this experience, our transformational villa experience, what we've aimed to create is, yes, you're going to extract yourself, but then the work that I do with the clients, right, is this is a like a lifetime ROI. You do not return the same. There is a blueprint for the next steps, and you literally are in a recoding of your body system so that when you return, you are not only returned rejuvenated, refreshed, but there's another, once again, bird's eye view, and you're equipped to then move through your life in those situations in a very, very different way. So I wanted to just put that in there because you bringing that up, I think, was so beautiful. And for Zella, I love it. I just unplugged in nature for several days. The energy I felt coming back was enormous. Yes, I love that. Interesting. Not sure if I leak energy when I work with assistants. After years of watching how my management style is a friend-work relationship, I'm giving assignments for work to be completed. I see it works like 20% of the time to do the high-level work I want to do. Each staff person is different. Had just one out of many assistants that can do the work to a high standard and also be open and talk like a friend. Is that just rare? What is the boundary mindset I need to make with staff for doing? Let me see. Didn't show me the whole thing.
Let me reply. I'd love to.
Yeah, Karen, what are your thoughts? Very curious.
More and more of the comments, and thank you for putting the comment here. You love it, definitely. For me, I got goosebumps to just saying that. It's important. Remember, when you go on a retreat, you don't go there just to be on a beautiful space. You have Lauren teaching, so you are on a course within a space that gives you the ability to understand, ingest, comprehend all of the teachings of Lauren. And then through this, you make your own personal work to get this energy back to you. And it's very important. So an example that I can give for myself, but for people who've been pushing their limits. I'm a mountain climber, or I was a mountain climber. I climbed really high mountains. when you need oxygen, otherwise you just pass out. And this is a space. Yes, I did stupid things, but it was
It's amazing.
interesting at the time. But it's a space where you push your limits so much that your body does remember it forever. And then even if you forget it, um, because you go back to your own life, suddenly you will have a trigger moment in your brain that would say, I was capable of doing that. I was capable of pushing out my limits. I knew what it felt to be within me, to nurture my energy and to become someone that can thrive with my own boundaries. The same for people who cross the Atlantic, or the, that goes on boat trips. It's really demanding, and the isolation and it's extreme. But I'm putting the extreme so that we understand the feeling of how you come back, and then how you can project to your staff. When the staff see you, when you left for a week, and they see you transform, or they see you being more posed when there is conflict, when you see you arguing in a different way, more energetically, or in a more a proactive way that sees everyone's point of view, when before you were reacting on things, man, you don't need to teach anybody to do something. It will spill
Yeah.
over people, and suddenly it will become natural, and then people will respond to you in the same way.
Love it. Yes. Yes. And to answer Frizella's comment around like this friend style, of course we can't get into all of this here, but just what kind of came through around that in terms of yeah, what boundaries do you have, what in terms of like leadership, right? There's a leadership energy, and the visionary leaders who are the best leaders, just like you were saying, it's you're leading by example, right? And you're sitting in that leadership energy, which really is a frequency where people, it's not about you telling people what to do, but your boundaries are so clear and your expectations are so clear, and it's not reactive. It is there's a neutral power to it. That's a frequency unto itself, where you then become magnetic to the things that you desire, and also people sense this in how you're carrying yourself in the frequency, and they naturally follow, and they naturally do specific tasks, because it is not you, like, there's a difference between nagging someone to do something, right? And then having a very clear expectation that is articulated and very powerful, and sitting in that powerful frequency. So I think that there's an ability, we're talking about that like if I'm understanding correctly, Frizella, because I know you very well, and you're so beautifully open, and how you operate is in friendship and in extreme kindness. And I think that, exploring, well, where does that, just because I'm setting a boundary doesn't mean that I'm not being kind, right? Just because I'm setting a boundary doesn't mean that I can't have a nourishing relationship with the other person. So yeah, just exploring a few of those things might be useful in yeah, and just in response to that beautiful comment that you left. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I
So
think
good.
it's important to be. I think those retreats are a catalyst for change,
Mhm.
but they're also a catalyst to allow yourself to change, and then your environment to change. It's a new blueprint. It will change you, I would say, forever. It's a big way, but you will
Yeah.
see the difference in the eyes of people, that suddenly your way of embracing life, and putting the boundaries, as you correctly say, it's not rejecting people, it's saying to your environment, this is where you should not step in. This is where my energy will allow others to be included into my vision and my goal, and to embrace everybody. So we will definitely, your blueprint will be seen, will be integrated into your daily life, and empower. You will have this sense of clarity, and this clarity is extremely important in today's world. And yeah, that's why we push for.
Yeah, and taking it back to just the work that happens in this kind of space of you walk away, yes, with a blueprint. You walk away with, I always call it exponential ROI. Once you see, like, so for me, it's about the first step in my black diamond process is always illumination. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So once you see where you might be leaking the energy, and this is why for me the work is extremely nuanced and very bespoke, because I'm looking at the individual, I'm looking at you and where, even down to the tone of your voice, what is the lexicon you're using, what are you allowing and not allowing, what is the resistance to perhaps creating the boundary, right? And really letting those unfold, illuminating them, and then shifting them very quickly in order to collapse time towards whatever your visionary goal is, or even just if you want to step into a greater leadership. And yeah, this is something that will absolutely last a lifetime. You do not return the same, right? Like Caroline did not return from the mountain the same.
Yeah, definitely. Such, yeah, I would say, to collapse all this into one sentence, seeing is believing. I would say
Yeah.
you need to see it, you need to experience it, you need your every fiber of your body to really experience it, to say, okay, I know what you're talking about now. I can feel it in my own way. Everyone will be different and will be sensing it differently, but the experience remains the same. You come back different.
Mm. I love it. And on that note, thank you everybody for joining us today. And once again, if you're watching the replay, please comment. We'll come back if you have any questions around this. And do share your experience too around, boundaries, boundary setting, creating very intentional, curated space. And yeah, for those who are interested in our transformational villa experience, I will leave the link for that after the presentation here today. But just in closing with that, really do have a conversation with Caroline. What we talked about here today is really literally a fraction of what this experience really is. But just knowing that when you extract yourself from the norm, when you extract yourself from the situations that may have you in reactivity, and you enter a space where, of course, the beautiful villas of your choice and the work with me, this really is about recoding who you are being in the world. And when you recode who you're being, then it is actually less doing. You actually have to do less. Your time is more efficient, and what you get to create in this world is far more potent than than anything else that you could be doing if you're trying to, strategize and live all up in your head. So this really is recoding who you're being in the world to see very, very different results.
Yeah, beautifully said. I don't think the clutter leads you anywhere. So you need clarity to get where you want to go. That's for sure.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you, Caroline. This is always so wonderful to do with
Thank
you.
you,
And
Lauren.
we always say, oh, we're gonna keep it 15 minutes, and we're like, oh, look at all this beautiful stuff that came through. So I always love to see this stuff. Yeah. So good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.